Tonight, apparently Satan has a Twitter account and Q is calling him out. We also talk about Omarosa and her secret recording of Chief of Staff John Kelly and the real reason she was fired. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every episode I start the same way. I say thank you so much to each and every one of my subscribers because there's always new subscribers. I'm very thankful. If you haven't hit that button already, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way, as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified because I make it available to you as soon as it's available to me. So here's where we're going to begin. If you guys want to get caught up to where we are, we talked a lot about what's going on with basically Bill Maher and all of this stuff. Crazy stuff. You guys can go back here and watch the latest video. The latest two videos will give you an idea of where we're at to this point. And also, if you're scratching your head going, what's QAnon? I certainly suggest you watch this video here. It gives you a good idea of what QAnon and the Great Awakening are and ways to get involved and ways to find the information. If you want to spread this, please spread this video link. That means a lot. Now, today we have pretty disturbing stuff to a degree to talk about here. It's always disturbing when you hear somebody who is so lacking in a true moral compass or lacking in that true sense of morality, as James Gunn has been shown to have. And so we start here with an Anon posting on the board this picture, to which Q replies, "The choice to know will be yours." And this picture is of all of James Gunn's tweets, not all of them, but a lot of them. Actually a small minority, to be honest, and these are just the ones that have been highlighted, where he says things that are so despicable. I won't repeat them for the same fact that I won't curse and I won't swear against God because it's sick and it's the devil's work here. But he talks about how he likes to abuse children and how he likes to basically hurt kids and to abuse them. So that to me is disgusting and despicable, but it's interesting to see here where Q says the choice to know will be yours. And Q, of course, links to Satan's, I'm not kidding, Twitter account, and it's at this Satan. And I know, obviously, it's not the real Satan, but I mean, the fact that somebody is evil enough to make this account and then to run this account, it's really, really sick. And then this was the tweet that Q pointed us to, and this is from 2015. So this is way before, we really got into the weeds on a lot of these issues. But it was certainly at a point when we knew that there was something going on. And this account actually is requesting that somebody does something really despicable and sick, sacrificing a pizza. And we all know the metaphor or that's like a code word that people use to discuss little girls. And to me, that's just, when I see this evil, it sickens me, and I feel like it just drives me to fight it more, because this is the kind of evil that exists out there, and it's not fake, and it's not, it's not like a big ruse. Like, there is evil. So that's what that is. And we're going to talk about that more, about who runs that account. And I want you guys, as disturbing as it may be, it could actually help if we could find tweets from people who have retweeted that Satan account, or people who have tweeted at that Satan account, which Q will talk about later, because that would give us a good idea of who those people are, really. So I don't think that's funny. I don't think that's a smart thing or wise thing to do. I think that I'm really saddened, because that these people, their eternal souls are lost if they don't come back to Christ, if they don't make an effort, because, these people are truly sick when they say these kind of things and do these kind of things. So here we're going to get in the next post just to keep moving forward. And this is very interesting. So Q gives us the booms. He gave us the booms, like I said in the last episode or the one before. Whenever we see the booms, usually something big comes out the next day. And lo and behold, today we actually saw, of course, what happened with Omarosa, and then you have also this right here where Devin Nunes goes on and basically explains how this is the biggest story out there that nobody's covering. But the first is a link to a tweet here where it says, seems like the Department of Justice and FBI had a program to keep Donald Trump from becoming president. And that's a quote from at Daryl Issa of Fox and Friends. And it says, if this had happened to the other side, everybody involved would be in jail. This is a media cover-up of the biggest story of our time. And I could not agree more. So the president's saying here is basically they literally worked with the intelligence agencies and the Department of Justice and the FBI to actually stop President Trump from becoming president. Now, if that's not a story that needs to get covered, I'm not sure, who's really doing the reporting here. And here's the next one. It's talking about Maria Bartiromo and her status, where she posts this clip from her show, and she talks on this about Bruce Orr and his affiliation with this investigation, the Russia hoax investigation, and how he's going to be testifying in front of Congress. And then Devin Nunes basically points out, look, why was he allowed to keep giving information from Christopher Steele to the FBI when his wife's over there working for Fusion GPS, and we know that Christopher Steele was basically getting information from basically Russian intelligence, it's been alleged. So you guys watch this clip and tell me.
Welcome back. We are back with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Devin Nunes is in the country of Georgia this weekend. He is joining us on the telephone. And, Mr. Chairman, you were just talking about Bruce Orr, and I want to get right to that because he becomes the central figure now in this investigation. Your colleagues over on the Judiciary Committee have now subpoenaed him, and we have a date. He's going to testify in front of Judiciary on August 28th. Why is he so central to this story?
Well, because what's come out now, Maria, is that he has been the go-between Christopher Steele. So once Christopher Steele was terminated as a source for doing all things like talking to the media at the behest of Glenn Simpson. So remember, he was working for Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS, who were working for the Clinton campaign. Christopher Steele was fired. A lot of this information wasn't shared with the FISA court, especially the fact that Christopher Steele was desperate that Donald Trump not become president. After that happened, Bruce Orr, one of the top lawyers in the Department of Justice, kept continually meeting and providing information from Christopher Steele to who? The FBI. This is just madness. The American people need to know it. And I will tell you, like I said in the last segment, the fact that the media is ignoring this is even more of a reason that we're going to have more information than usual declassified. We're going to have, I think, an unprecedented amount of information declassified because the media is just not covering this topic. And I'll just kind of close it with this. Don't forget that Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie Orr, who also will have to be interviewed soon, she also was working for Fusion GPS, working for the Clinton campaign. So here you have information flowing from the Clinton campaign, from the Russians, likely I believe was handed directly from Russian propaganda arms to the Clinton campaign, fed into the top levels of the FBI and Department of Justice to open up a counterintelligence investigation into a political campaign that is now polluted nearly every top official at the DOJ and FBI over the course of the last couple of years.
Well, that is what is so extraordinary.
And quite frankly, it's what you kind of see in this part of the world where I'm at now.
Right. I mean, the president has said maybe he would declassify this. What's wrong with declassifying all of this information so the American people understand exactly what took place? Because you're right. This is an incredible story, and that is why we are doing it every Sunday morning to make sure the American people are informed as far as what went on. Do you think the president will declassify this so that people understand what took place?
I think he really has no choice because I will tell you, you're gonna end up with a situation with half of America, including nearly every Republican member of Congress, who will have zero confidence in the Department of Justice and FBI. And that just can't be. We have to have a strong Department of Justice and a strong FBI that stays out of politics. And if we don't get that soon, I think it's just going to continue to deteriorate. Well, and I think it's like the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, said several months ago, is the Department of Justice and FBI need to decide whether or not they want to be part of the cleanup crew or the cover-up crew. And so right now, I just want to be clear, they are providing slowly, but they are providing documentation. But we're going to have all of this information declassified, and we need an investigation into these top-level people as to how somebody concocted the idea that it's okay to take information from one political campaign and use it to open up an investigation on the other on somebody else's opposing political party.
Right.
It's absolutely nuts.
And you've said many times on this program that there was zero evidence, official evidence, available to launch an investigation into collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians. There was no evidence. It was all based on that unverified dossier. Real quick, I'll go one step further in terms of trusting the FBI and the DOJ again. That's not going to happen until there is accountability. Will there be accountability? Will we see prosecutions?
The only way there can be accountability is one step at a time, and it deals with full and complete transparency, full sunlight on as many of the documents that don't endanger national security. Which, from our committee members, we've sent a letter to the president. We don't believe that you're going to jeopardize any sources or methods. And I think people, like I've said many times, are going to be shocked as to what went into a FISA warrant against Carter Page, and even more importantly, what did not go into the FISA application that was not presented to the court involving the information that they had on Carter Page.
So there you have it. What Devin Nunes is basically saying is when we find out what Bruce Orr's involvement was, we'll realize that Bruce Orr and his wife, Nellie Orr, over at Fusion GPS, were working with Christopher Steele to feed fake information from Russian intelligence propagandists, mind you, into our FBI in order to create a reason to have this investigation into the president in order to undermine his administration and his campaign, really, because this is all happening before, basically. So that's what's being explained here. And Q goes on to say that those are the booms, I guess. And it's saying, why did NBC have a confidential conference call yesterday with a few of its news affiliates regarding the need to remove potentially sensitive tweets? Panic at NBC or NBC News. And we saw that tweet yesterday that right here that Q pointed us to, where it talks about how to delete old tweets. Well, of course they had a meeting to figure that one out, right? So then the next thing Q does is he links to this NBC Twitter page where they have a tweet from today, of course, talking about what is QAnon, a guide to the conspiracy theory. So they always have to define it for you. They can't risk you going out and finding it for yourself, because if you find the information organically, like from a source like myself, or there's a bunch of other great guys and gals out there doing great work. If you go find them, you might actually get a little bit more truth than they want you to know. So they have to tell you the truth as they want to feed it to you. And most of the people will gobble this up and they'll believe that we're conspiracy theory. Well, it's not really theory once it starts getting proven true, I guess. So the thing is, you guys can do this and look all this up for yourself if you guys want to look at it more. But I'll tell you right now, that's what Q links to. And Q says, has Media Matters been hired to locate and identify potentially sensitive tweets from known characters? The more you know, Q. Q is telling us, David Brock, Media Matters, that whole syndicate of globalist, anti-Trump, anti-American propagandists over there, in my opinion, actually are going in searching everyone's Twitters to find tweets that could potentially identify them as being involved with this evil, satanic, globalist, Luciferian agenda, right? With what they've been shown to say about kids. I mean, how can you just, as anyone, as an adult, make jokes about hurting 3-year-old children? How is that remotely acceptable in this day and age? I mean, you have the right to freedom of speech, but I can't go out there and make kind of those kind of threats of violence and harming and abusing children. If I did, I would just hope that the police would be like, we need to investigate you because you're saying this kind of crazy stuff. It's not a joke. It's not funny. It's not funny to the families of kids and kids themselves who have gone through this kind of torture. So to me, I just think it's very important that we keep a sober mind about this and understand that, look, what's being said here is these aren't jokes. What we're covering, what James Gunn and others have talked about, they're not jokes, okay? They're bigger than that. Much more. So now the next one is talking about Omarosa, and we're going to get right into this because I questioned this straight from the beginning. I knew there was something fishy, but now we'll see what Q has to say, and then we'll kind of I'll let you guys use your own, critical thinking, logical thinking to figure this out. But it says, how stupid are these people? And it gives a link to this CNN article. Now, this CNN article is talking about the actual conference. So Omarosa got called into General John Kelly's office to be dismissed for basically, it said integrity violations. And she secretly recorded that firing because she's a double-faced. Personally, for me, I don't like to get into the name calling thing because I know it can get really ugly, and it's not really who I am as a person. Is to get that pity or petty. But when she said those things on The Celebrity Apprentice about Pierce Morgan and his kids, and you could see that the hate that came out of her was coming from a real place. Like she really had found through time that being that vicious and that evil had made her successful, and you could tell that she got off on using that power to basically hurt others. And you can see in what she's doing now, she's doing the same thing to President Trump because that's basically how she's worked her whole life. And I'm hoping that President Trump was just being magnanimous and trying to help her out and give her a job. And then she turned around and stabbed him in the back, obviously, metaphorically speaking. And but to me, it's hard to tell. Now, this is the actual conference that you're going to listen to right now. So hold on. I'm not going to play it off CNN because they will flag this video and they will do everything they can to remove it if they find out I played 1 second of their airtime. Heaven forbid I talked about what kind of fake news they do. I don't want to cover them anyway. So we'll actually let you listen to the tape real quick.
Sure. Hi.
I'm only going to stay for a couple of minutes. These are lawyers. We've got to talk to you about leaving the White House. It's come to my attention over the last few months that there's been some pretty, in my opinion, significant integrity issues related to you and use of government vehicles and some other issues. They'll walk you through the legal aspects of this, but there is some. From my view, there's some money issues and other things, but from my view, the integrity issues are very serious. I'm stuck with my past experience, and that is when we hold people accountable in the military. I compare what I see here at the White House and other issues that I've had to deal with, and say, what would I do to this in this case if I was in the Pentagon dealing with a Marine or a soldier or something like that, and in the issue that you may or may not have a full appreciation for, but I think you do, this would be a pretty high level of accountability, meaning a court-martial. And we're not suggesting any legal action here. Just stay with me. Just stay with me. Yeah. That it would be a pretty serious offense. So with that, I'm just going to ask you, these gentlemen will explain it, and we'll bring a personnel person in after they talk to you. But just to understand that I'd like to see this be a friendly departure. There are pretty significant legal issues that we hope don't develop into something that will make it ugly for you. But I think it's important to understand that if we make this a friendly departure, we can all be, you can look at your time here in the White House as a year of service to the nation, and then you can go on without any type of difficulty in the future relative to your reputation. But it's very, very important, I think, that you understand that there are some serious legal issues that have been violated, and you're open to some legal action that we hope, I think we can control, right? So with that, if you would stay here with these gentlemen, they'll lay this thing out. And
Can I ask you a couple of questions? Is the president aware of what's going on?
Let's not go down the road. This is a non-negotiable discussion.
I don't want to negotiate. I've never had a chance to talk to you, General Kelly.
Yeah,
so if this is my departure, I'd like to have at least an opportunity to understand.
We can talk another time. This has to do with some pretty serious integrity violations. So I'll let it go at that. So the staff and everyone on the staff works for me, not the president. And so after your departure, I'll inform him if he gets interested on where you may be. So with that, I'll let you go, and gentlemen, if you could take it. Thanks.
Wow. So basically what happened there was you had Omarosa getting canned and for integrity violations, which Q alludes to them being leaks. So was she a major leaker in the White House for a whole lot of time? And if that is true, then that is one of the worst portrayals that a person in the staff of the White House can make. Besides selling a book where you advertise that President Trump is a racist, while not producing any shred of proof to the fact that he is, rather using your own platform to spew your own unsubstantiated claims and make false accusations, because as I see them, they're false until they're proven. So to me, what this woman has done is basically participated in some pretty criminal activities, and now she's trying to cover her own butt because she knows that people are aware. So it says, how stupid are these people? It says integrity violations. Integrity violations equal leaks. Recording a privileged and confidential meeting with the White House chief of staff. What documents are signed prior to entering the White House? What documents were added by POTUS specifically prior to allowing staff to join his administration? What documents were added later by POTUS specifically targeting leaks? Why was fake news infuriated by them? Sample, and it gives all of these articles. First, you have the Washington Post here. Trump had senior staff non-disclosure agreements. They're supposed to last beyond his presidency. Then you have here, Trump made White House senior staff sign NDAs. Then you have former White House officials slam report White House non-disclosure agreements. Again, you have Trump made White House staff sign NDAs in futile effort to stop leaks. Is it futile to ask them not to leak classified information? This was an article from Newsweek that obviously doesn't last more than 2 seconds because the ads always have to refresh. So they make their pages go down on purpose so they can get more ad revenue. It's kind of a funny way that they do that, right? But this says any White House staffer who signed Trump's NDA offered pro bono representation from prominent D.C. lawyer. See, they were being offered deals to break the NDA. How illegal is that? Can the president require NDAs to be signed by White House staff? Yeah, I would say so. Jeez. Senior White House Trump House staff signed non-disclosure agreements at Trump's request. Like he's so evil for having them sign an agreement not to disclose classified information that is between them in the White House, and that he pushed them into doing it. Yeah, he bullied them into doing it. But Q basically says here at the end, why would a person openly broadcast a criminal violation? Do they feel protected? Who do they report to? If known in advance, could this be an advantage? These people are stupid. Enjoy the show, Q. So I think what Q's saying here is that Omarosa was stupid enough to believe that her handlers, who she was giving information to out of the White House in order to make President Trump look bad, well, they knew that she had handlers and they were watching them all, and that this is going to be end up working to President Trump's advantage because maybe they fed her some information that wasn't true. Maybe they showed her some things that weren't true to make her look less credible. Because if you're going to be a liar and a leaker, you're going to suffer the consequences. There's legal consequences, and then there's the public, the court of public opinion is always there. And we have to stand up to these bullies, these evil bullies, and tell them that their kind of lying and dishonesty is completely not what the American people will ever accept in any circumstance, anytime, any place, anywhere. The next one, Q. You made the grade. Great story, positive quotes, Q. And it links to this Gateway Pundit article, which I think is a great read, and I'm going to definitely put this down in links if you guys want to share this with your friends. It's a good story. It kind of gives you a fair shot at understanding what QAnon is and gives some pretty interesting insights. And I actually am glad that somebody's finally put a story out there, from one of these major publications about Q in a more positive light, just saying, look, what is this? We need to look at it. Let's try to learn more about what Q is, because if Q is real, then we really need to know this information. So there you go. I'll leave that link in the description. Q responds to the Anon who posts this, fair and balanced, Q. Yeah, fair and balanced. That's all we ask for. We don't ask for people to come here and think everything we do is right or everything we do is wrong. We just want fair and balanced. We want fair thought and fair insights. Now, the next one, I feel bad for this woman, Teresa Cirque, or Cirque, whatever her name is. And I only say that because she wrote this tweet and not knowing that this was going to end up being what it is. But this is the kind of logic that they all work on. And this is her tweet. She says, I don't think real Donald Trump understands he's being removed from that office one way or another. I don't know what that means. If the law fails America, we will remove him with our bare hands. Really? He has only 1/5 of America's support, and they are mostly cowardly, out of shape, poor, uneducated rednecks. Well, I'm actually sure that most people out there are not any of those things. I think we're all educated. I think we're all Americans, and cowardly. I mean, look, I think this Anon who posted this says it correctly. Says, I don't know about you all, but I am in great shape, not poor, highly educated. Although I am in the country, I'm not a redneck and most definitely not a coward. And then they use an expletive to describe this person, saying that she is threatening to remove POTUS with her bare hands. Q responds, you are majority, by far and growing. Fake news purpose is to project false narratives. Q. And yeah, I couldn't agree more with Q there. And I couldn't disagree more with this Teresa woman, because basically what she's saying is there's only 1/5 of America supporting the President of the United States. Well, that's just not true. And this is the kind of fantasy that they live in, and we need to really feel for them now. We need to pray for them. We need to look into ourselves and try to understand that these people have been misled. They've been led astray. They've been brainwashed by the culture that's raised them. And now they're basically just, drooling zombies who have no idea about the reality of the world outside of the little bubble that they exist in on their social media spheres or in their little cliques that they have of super liberal friends in their trendy little uptown, metropolitan, high rises where they look down on the streets where there's feces and needles strewn about. And they just have no conception of the reality of the country. They actually, this woman, for her to call everyone cowardly, out of shape, poor, uneducated rednecks, well, I'm not cowardly, I'm not out of shape, I'm not poor, and I'm not an uneducated redneck. I actually have a high education. And it's just like that guy said. It's like, what kind of world are we living in where this is the kind of thought that's going on the other side? But you guys will let me know what you think. I don't wish any ill will toward this person. I think that they're really misguided and we need to pray for them. But I do wish ill will on Satan always, the real Satan, of course, not. And probably I pray that whoever's running this account is their soul is redeemed somehow by God, because I don't know how to do it other than to say that they're wrong and that Satan is evil, and that in the end God does win. But here we go again. Another Anon post quote from Satan on his Twitter account talking about Donald Trump, saying, I miss you, son, at Donald Trump. And this is from August of 2015. An interesting time. It's around the time, I believe, that President Trump's name was starting to gain traction for his nomination into the office of president. And so this was obviously this person jumping on the bandwagon. And Q responds to this, saying, this Twitter account was referenced for a very specific reason, holds many questionable messages from people of power and influence. These accounts are run by big names. Q. So I think we all need to get on there and try to find who these are and highlight them and expose it, because this is evil. They're endorsing evil. They're all about evil, and they're blatant about it. There's no hiding it. They're tweeting back at Satan. And I mean, to me, you have to look to God first. You have to understand that this is the time where it's so critical for us to all get together and realize that God is going to be the answer. God is going to be what saves us. God is going to be what delivers us. And that's what we need to focus on. So that's pretty much it for these latest posts. And I'm going to go ahead and just leave it there. I want to say thank you all for watching. If you are looking for a way to support the channel, the best way to do is to come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. The second best way is to scroll down at the end of this video and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comment board. And you guys, we don't just talk about Q posts. We talk about politics, religion, culture, everything in between, what the mainstream media will cover and what they won't cover and what they will cover incorrectly. And that is certainly something to be getting into. Even if you can't comment, scroll down and read through the comments. I guarantee you're going to learn something. Now, I absolutely am so happy to have so many people help coming over and showing me love and helping me out on Twitter. So if you can come over here and show me a follow on Twitter, you guys are really showing up and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. If you guys want to come find me on Twitter, I'm at Justin_formed. Again, that's at Justin_formed. And you guys can find me on Twitter. Give me a shout out. Follow me. Come check out the page. There's always cool stuff over there, and I really appreciate it. Really, really, truly. So another thing, if you guys are looking to contribute and help out financially, I really appreciate it. It makes a big difference, and I just can't tell you how thankful I am to each and every one of you. If you guys want to do it, you can come over here to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. Search Justin Form Talk. When you come to this page, click this button and become a patron. Once you do that, it's a monthly donation, and it helps out the channel big time. And I'm so thankful to each and every one of you who are all already contributing, and I'm thankful for everyone who comes over and checks this out. Now, if you're not a big fan of the monthly donation, which some people aren't, you can come over here and find me on GoFundMe at gofundme.com/just-informed. And when you come here, you just can make a one-time donation. You can do it anonymously. And I'm so thankful to everybody who comes and supports the channel over here. It makes a huge difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, as we get ready to sign off here, we're going to talk about the most important thing. And you guys know what that is by now. It's God, obviously. And especially now, we're confronted with this evil on a regular basis. People who have evil in their hearts. And God warns us about this. And the words that God uses through Timothy here in 2 Timothy that we're going to read are the words that I want to share with you because they uplifted my spirit. And I really pray and hope that they uplift your spirit to know that the Bible told us this all existed and that we would have to face it, but that there's a bigger meaning behind it all and that there's a greater purpose and that we will overcome it. Now, here, this is out of 2 Timothy. It's chapter 3, verses 1 and forward, saying, and it talks about difficult times ahead. It says, "But know this, difficult times will come in the last days. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, irreconcilable, slanderers, without self-control, brutal, without love for what is good, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to the form of religion but denying its powers. Avoid these people. For among them are those who worm their way into households and capture idle women burdened down with sins, led along by a variety of passions, always learning and never able to come to a knowledge of the truth." And, to me, when I read that, it gives me that solace, that hope that I need to know that God warned us about this. They called it all. Everything, you heard it all. They're lovers of money. They're boastful. They're proud, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, unloving, traitors, reckless, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. That's what God warns us about in these difficult times ahead. And we have to remember that by seeking God in our own way, by reaching out to God through our prayer, through our repentance, through our satisfying the calling of God as it comes to us, we have to understand that God knows this evil exists. Don't forget that God wins in the end. And no matter what they say, and no matter what they try to tell you about yourself or about the ideas that you have, you are allowed to think for yourself. And if you have a great love for God and you exercise that on a daily basis, He will guide you to what is right. And I can't tell you what that is and what that will be, but you know just as well as I do that in our lives we come across this evil on a regular basis. Maybe not interpersonally, but we watch it on the news or we see it on the computer or we see it on our phones. And to me, God knew this day would come in all of our lives, or these days would come. And we have to stay true to the Lord, and we have to look to God and understand that the sacrifice of Jesus was for our eternal souls, and that's what saves us. Not turning to evil, not embracing sin, not embracing deceitful ways or loving pleasure more than God. Those are the ways to end up in the pit. Those are the ways to end up not having your eternal salvation. And you know what? If you actually enact God in your life here and now, your life will get a lot better. It may be hard. It may have to get worse at first, but overall, you will have a better life. And even if you don't, remember, as hard as it may be to understand, there's a bigger plan, and God may have made life harder here on earth but that just means that your reward is greater in heaven. So please remember that if you don't take anything else away. But I want to thank you all for watching again. I really appreciate everyone who comes to this channel and helps out. Now's a great time if you haven't hit that subscribe button to come here and hit it. But I want to say thank you all for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.